Madsen. Talked about shooting guard options for the Kings yesterday.
Yeah.
Tons of options in-house. Not a lot of trade options. I think we're in the middle of trade options when we kind of stopped our conversation.
Yeah.
It's like Derek White, if you want to call him a shooting guard, works, although he probably fits your point guard need.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I guess, is the other one.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, he looked like it just
he had an awful year.
Father Time just lassoed him and
I think I think the logic there would be that he thrived in an offense that was run through a center and a very, very good passing big. And Orlando's offense is not that. Orlando's offense gets super bogged down and probably does not generate open shots for KCP the way Denver did. And so I think the thought there would be that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope could perhaps revive his career in Sacramento. But he makes 20 plus million a year and he's older.
Yeah, I'm out on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I've always liked KCP, but I think you can get younger version. And I've said this, he makes 21.6. And then he's got another 21.6 player option for the 26-27 season.
It feels like it feels like it feels like an old Kings move. Where, hey, look, we got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's a champion. Look, he shot 39% from 3 2 years ago. And then he's just kind of very George Hill-ish.
Well, I'll make this weird comparison too.
Sure.
I think actually it's probably
I love a weird comp.
They're like when it comes to like their passing ability, they're like a really, really poor man's Kings. Like that team does not move the ball at all. And they've got
the Magic?
Yeah, the Magic. So
it's a lot of ISO stuff.
They don't have a point guard. And I know a lot of that is because Jalen Suggs got hurt. But he played 35 games and averaged 3.7 assists per game. And Wagner and Paolo Banchero are their leading assist guys, but they're at 4.8 and 4.7. Like that's not going to cut it. Like we walked into this Kings season understanding that you would at least have 3 guys averaging over 5 assists a game in Fox, Sabonis, and Monk, and the possibility of a 4th in DeRozan. And, when you get to the end of the season and the Kings don't have a natural point guard, they don't have a natural point guard, but again, Malik Monk averaged more assists than either one of their leaders. And then, Sabonis averaged 6.2 a game. So you're still looking at the ability to move the ball, where I think that a team like Orlando, it does really devalue a player like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Yeah,
like get them a point guard. They should be in the point guard market as much or more than anyone, especially Suggs. I love Suggs, but Suggs is more of an off-ball too. I mean, he can play the point.
But he's not. He's a point guard to me. Different player, different styles here, but he's a point guard to me in the way that Malik Monk is a point guard. Like, he can do it.
Yeah.
But that's probably not that's probably not maximizing what he's doing.
Well, and he's not nearly as good at the pick and roll game as
like I said, different styles for sure, but same vein in terms of can do it, but not their ideal position, not their ideal role.
Yeah. Even we all watched DeMar DeRozan season last year. He averaged 4.4 assists per game, which is 0.3 less than Franz Wagner and 0.4 less than Paolo Banchero.
So I want to talk about DeMar DeRozan for a second here.
Yeah.
Because as we were rolling through, we're going like, man, there's not a ton of shooting guard trade options. Mm-hmm. I wondered if that would be good news for the Kings. If there are teams that need shot creation and shot making. If, oh man, maybe a team will give up some real stuff for Zach LaVine. Maybe a team will give up some real stuff for DeMar DeRozan. I'm so interested to see what DeMar DeRozan's value is. Because the production's there. The points are there.
Yeah.
And he's a Hall of Famer who's going to be one of the most efficient mid-range scorers in the league. I just wonder how many teams are looking to acquire DeMar DeRozan who need or want an ISO 2-point scorer.
I think it really does depend on the team, right? Like there are a lot of teams out there that I don't want to say don't rely on the three as much because the three is like the way of the NBA. And DeMar DeRozan got up to 3.3 3-point attempts per game this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's better. I
And
mean,
he shot what percent?
He shot 32.8.
Right.
And it faded down the stretch.
Right.
But that's like the second highest like per game that he's ever shot.
Yes.
Like he's shot 3.6 was his high one time years ago, like in the 17-18
and what
season.
percent?
And in that he shot 31%.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's a trend. I think his career high is 35.2% from three.
Yep.
On 1.9 a game.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
So you start ticking up his volume and the percentage goes down. Just historically.
Yeah.
So he's just not going to be that. He's 36 years old and he's made a Hall of Fame career out of being a mid-range scorer. So like I look at a team like Orlando, go, hey, they need scoring. It's like, well, they really don't. They need a point guard, like you said. They
need scoring.
Right.
But a point guard would probably lead to more scoring.
Correct. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are the guys who are going to score there.
Yep.
They don't need a DeMar DeRozan to be like, okay, now it's my turn, because it's a lot of Paolo Banchero dribbles and then Franz Wagner dribbles and they try and get their own shot. Then I look at a team like Houston where you go, man, Houston, you look at that series against Golden State, Houston's just offense just super bogged down at every crucial time. And if it wasn't for Fred VanVleet turning into prime Steph Curry, they probably lose that game a lot quicker than 7.
Yeah, that series.
Series.
Yeah, for sure.
In a lot quicker than 7 games. But I don't know that just dropping DeMar DeRozan onto that team is necessarily what they're looking for. They might, but I don't. I can see where he would have value to a team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, A, how many teams are going to be willing to take him on, and B, how many teams are going to look at, let's stick on the Rockets, and they go, Amen Thompson is our dude. We want Amen Thompson to develop offensively.
Mm-hmm.
We saw what happened with Keegan Murray last year with the Kings, or we saw players with the Kings saw their numbers go down, and DeMar DeRozan just kind of sucked up a lot of oxygen in the offense. So we think we can find that scorer who's not going to take away a ton of touches from the guys that we want, Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, et cetera, et cetera. Like I have no clue. That might just be my personal bias leaking into my thinking. And maybe the Rockets or whatever team we're talking about doesn't think that way.
No,
but that's what sticks out in my brain.
I agree. I mean, there has to be the right situation for DeMar DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that there are a lot of teams in the NBA that are the right type of situation. Like like Bryce brings up Denver. Like I think Denver would listen. Like, okay. I think because, I think they're kind of done with Michael Porter Jr. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not making a swap for Michael Porter Jr., but I certainly would look at 3-team trades that might, send him somewhere, DeMar somewhere, DeMar to Denver. I think Miami is a team that we keep circling, and I think makes a ton of sense. I think the Clippers and the Lakers, both teams that could use another scorer, and their play style at times sort of works with that type of player. I just don't think that the Kings offense wasn't a good fit with him. And that doesn't mean that, they can't find a different fit. But I also, I think for Doug Christie to maximize who he is as a coach, DeMar kind of needs to be gone. Because DeMar becomes a crutch. And because you need scoring and you keep thinking, oh my gosh, bad things are happening. And so you end up allowing him to be a focal point. And I think the way the Kings are designed, or should be designed, or have been designed, that was successful, 2-3 years ago, is by having a ball moving offense, a flow offense that everybody gets an opportunity. And that's not really the offense that DeMar DeRozan plays in.
Right.
And so that's the problem. I think by removing him, it would give Doug a lot more leeway to allow his team to organically grow. And unfortunately, I just think that DeMar is who he is, and there's no changing that. And that's okay. He's really good at what he does.
1000%.
But he's really like in the same way that Davion Mitchell was never going to fit in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever going to fit in Sacramento.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter the points and all that stuff that he puts up.
I'm so interested to see with Doug this year how much the Kings go back to the motion offense, dribble handoffs, and maybe not dribble handoffs. Maybe that's just not where they're maximizing Keegan Murray, and you don't have a Kevin Huerter type of player, so they don't do a ton of dribble handoff stuff. But just using Domantas Sabonis as the offensive hub, right? Because they got away from that quite a bit last year.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that was what you said yesterday, just clinging for dear life and going, we need to score points however we can. DeMar, go do whatever you got to do. Zach, do whatever you got to do. We'll figure out the rest. And how much of that was because
well, that's where Kyle playing for a play-in spot.
Yeah.
When you shouldn't.
Yeah.
When you already have a draft pick that was sitting there that, again, we can debate that all day long, whether or not you should have been playing for a draft pick or not. But there's something about handing the team over to your younger crew in the second half of a season that's not going to be successful. You get to game with 20 games left, you get to game 60, game 62, and you know that your team is not going to be a true contender for a playoff spot.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're looking at maybe 40 wins and other teams around you are looking at 47, 48 wins. So you know that you're not like a true contender. That's when you're supposed to feature someone like Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
It's when you're supposed to hand the ball off to Isaac Jones for long stretches. Not just make Isaac Jones like the guy, but if Isaac Jones would have played 15 minutes a game down the stretch, that would have been so valuable to him. If Keegan Murray would have been a guy who went from 12 shots per game or 10 shots per game to 16 shots per game in the last 2 months of the last month and a half of the season, that would have been so much better for his maturation as a player. But that's a problem with trying to fight for this low end play-in spot. And there should have came a point this season where, hey, we probably should start playing for the future. But that's not what's going to happen when you have an interim head coach
coaching for his job, potentially
coaching for the job, and then you have a GM and an assistant GM who are doing the same thing. They're trying to get, the message from them is not to go highlight a guy like Isaac Jones. Even like silly, but Mason Jones probably deserved an opportunity. I mean, what Mason Jones has done at the G League level is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, his 3-point shooting percentage and like his assists and all that stuff. Every time he gets at the pro level, he looks like a 4A player and struggles. But that's where the last 20 games of a season, you put a guy in and you say, go give us what you got. Show us. This is your audition. You're going to play 20 minutes tonight. Like, prove to us that you belong.
Yeah.
And
it's a good point.
Yeah, that's why I think the play-in tournament is both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, man. I kind of wonder if there was I don't want to say ownership involvement, but if there was some kind of pressure from ownership too, like, yo, make the play-in.
Yeah.
And frankly, I kind of get it, because the play-in this year was, and I understand what you're saying, but I also think if you're looking at the Kings in the play-in this year, it was, man, you're going to get Dallas in game 1. And then you might get an old Golden State team, might get a Minnesota team that might be trying to struggle to figure things out with Julius Randle, and it can happen in one game. And all of a sudden you're the 8th seed and you're back in the playoffs. So I get it, but I also think it's such for the Kings specifically, that's such a narrow way to view this. If you know, and Vivek knew, all right, this front office is no bueno. We're moving on from this front office. Got to figure it out with Doug. But I would have rather they figured it out with Doug playing the guys you're talking about. Playing Isaac Jones some more.
Yeah.
Playing Mason Jones some more. Giving Devin Carter some real burn. Letting Keegan Murray be featured offensively.
Well, that's Devin Carter. I mean, again, I'm not a huge fan of his game, but he's your rookie. You need to feature him
Gotta
in
let
the
him figure it
final
out.
20 games of the season. And he did play more,
Mm-hmm.
but not nearly enough.
No, he's ostensibly going to be a rookie going into year 2.
Oh yeah.
He got some action, and not all the way a rookie, but he's not like, hey, he had a full season under his belt.
Yeah.
So man, it's just, I don't want to say, I don't want to harp on like because we're here now, but man, you just kind of look back at like little things that could have gone differently, and when we talk about DeMar DeRozan, that's just such a glaring aspect of the Kings season last year, good and bad.
Yeah,
and I wonder if there's anything. Is that just, oh, we're here, you cover the team, we're doing a show every day, we're paying super close attention to this, and we both have our thoughts on it? Or is that how other teams are going to view this? Are they going to look at like, hey, that was a lot of DeMar DeRozan, it blocked Devin Carter from playing more, it blocked Keegan Murray from rising, and we don't want that to happen to our young guy? I have no idea. Teams might also just fall over themselves to get a Hall of Famer in their building.
Well, that's why you have to find the right team that has the motivations of being a playoff team and needing scoring.
Yeah.
And then I think and a team that plays isolation ball that, isn't a free flowing offense. And there are a lot of teams.
I kind of think, I know this is sacrilege to say, but I don't view it as such. I get that it will be viewed as such. I think he would be a dynamite sixth man. I think you bring him off your bench and you've got 26, 27 minutes a night of DeMar DeRozan running your second unit. I think he would be really, really effective in that role.
I still don't think he'd be effective in that role in Sacramento.
No. Malik Monk needs to be the sixth man in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Just while we're on the shooting guard thing.
Yeah.
That just, again,
it's tough.
The roster might shake out where, okay, hey, Malik started. If you're maximizing the roster, Malik Monk is coming off the bench. I will go to my grave believing that. Go to my grave.
All right.